Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Beginning. This is our new podcast and channel that we are featuring people that are connected with missions, specifically missions in Japan. And this time, I have the privilege of having my son, Stephen Gonzalez. He is an incredible man of God. He grew up here in Japan. I'll tell you a little bit about him. I am extremely proud of my son. Being Father's Day weekend, this is an incredible time for me just to love on my son. He is a wonderful son in many ways. He connects with me. Now we are doing devotions online, which is really new, and we're trying to connect in different ways so that we can grow together. Out of that comes this podcast or this interview with him. Stephen, can you introduce yourself? I could tell and brag about yourself, but it would be nice if you could tell us about yourself, what you're doing now too.
Of course, yeah. Like you said, I'm Steven Gonzalez. I'm your son. I am 28 years old. I'm currently a youth pastor here in the States, at Orange County First Assembly of God. My wife and I are both the youth pastors and have been here for,
5 years?
yeah, since 2021.
Yeah,
So 4 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
4 years. You're
Yeah. Coming
going
up on five. Yeah.
five, right? That is so great. But in the process of that, you discovered a love of doing also lights and sound, mostly sound. And to me, that really struck a chord because when you were growing up, your dad, myself, I was doing the sound for a whole lot of things. Never imagined that you were going to be involved in that. If I had known, then you probably would have had your hands on a lot of things way, way, way before that. But now you are getting into a lot of this stuff. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, of course. So the technical side of everything, the technical passion is somewhat new. Um, and it kind of came out of a desire to serve more and serve differently. I've when I was growing up, like you said, I wasn't engaged in that at all. But what I did love was music and for learning all the different instruments and learning how they're used, the reinforcement part of it really kind of stuck out to me. And knowing that I wanted to kind of have a kind of like a side gig or a backup.
Yeah. Somewhere where
Uh,
you can get some more finances than just being a
yeah,
youth pastor, right?
exactly. And so I knew I wanted to do something along the sides of music, but didn't want to go specifically into music. I didn't want to be a music major. I didn't want to study music. And so I enjoyed the technical aspects and would volunteer in some technical aspects here at the church. And so I just kind of went for it. I was doing a recording with a friend of mine, and her dad was setting up like all this recording equipment and everything. And it reminded me of you, and the different things that we used to do,
Right.
or the different classes that you used to teach. And so, that kind of like made me wonder. And so I made some connections with some old coworkers, and they were saying about how they went to school for it, and they said that the program that they went into was really awesome, and so that just led me to so many different connections. And I think God really had a huge hand in it all um, because this past October, um, I was appointed to be the technical director as well here at Orange County First Assembly of God, and they didn't have anybody else. So if I hadn't been already doing my schooling for it, already been doing all the experience for it and trying to get my hands on stuff, I the church, I don't know what they would have done. Like God would have provided a way for
I'm
sure,
sure.
but
Right.
this is definitely something that he had his hand in
So you
and
could see
doing.
God's hand preparing you for this, for that
Yeah.
time.
totally.
So you've had School of Ministry studies, and you have had California State University studies, and you are certified as a now as a sound technician, so to speak. I don't know what the title is, but you
Hmm.
can actually work now in the area where you are in Orange County, in California. There's a lot of places where you can do theater, you can do live, whatever events, and so
Yep.
there is a market for this kind of a person. So you found yourself a niche,
Hmm.
and you are working right now in one of the theaters in the area. And where are you at?
So I work for the city of Brea,
Right.
for their community theater that rents out and does a lot of either cultural events, live events, shows, kids theater, all different types of things. And their technicians are actually pretty highly trained and highly qualified because a lot of the time we either a one man show in terms of the technical aspects,
Yeah.
or there might be like two of us, and we put on shows just kind of on the fly. And sometimes they're scheduled out and all that. And so that's my main job right now outside of the church.
Cool. That is so cool because there's a cool connection, right? We used to
Hmm.
live in Brea.
Hmm.
Brea North Hills used to have a missions house, so we used to live there. And so I was telling that to a pastor friend. He says, "Hey, that's where Brea North Hills started." And I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's where Stephen is working." And
Yep.
now you're working also, of course, at Orange County First Assembly as a youth pastor in sound or lighting. What do you call that, pastor or
It's
something?
the technical director, so I
The
actually
technical director.
oversee all of the technical aspects of the service and of a weekly um, operation here at the church. So whether that's
Which that's a lot of events, right?
yeah, that's audio, that's lighting, that's video, that's everything. Everything that helps the service run, I'm kind of in charge of overseeing all of
Yeah.
that, including all the volunteers that run those on a weekly
And it's
basis.
so cool because your wife, Sabrina, then does the technical aspect of digital work, right?
Yes,
What is
the creative director here. The me the so her title always gets lost on me, but it's
let's give it
the
one.
media director,
There you
media and
go.
creative director here.
Which means she takes care of all the YouTube channels, all the channels that go out there, and takes care of all the media and everything else, taking care of the promotion, PR, and everything else. So yeah, it's
Right.
a lot of work. Plus, being a youth pastor, that is a lot of work, and she has her own work as well, her own job. So,
Mhm.
okay, so let me ask you a quick question. Um, we can see that God has put you together, but how did you become a Christian? I know that obviously you were raised here by your mom and dad in a Christian home, but how did you become a Christian? Because this is a cool story.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, being in a Christian household and on the mission field, it was always kind of second nature. It kind of went hand in hand, right?
You would assume that MKs would be Christians forever, but it's not the case all the time.
Right, right. For the case of me, it was interesting. I'm trying to think back to like my earliest days of doing like MK stuff and different events and such like that. I remember I was about 6 years old, and I think we were in like Thailand. I
Yeah, because
think at
most
like a
of our
retreat or
regional
something like
meetings,
that.
for those that are listening, most of our regional meetings they were done in Thailand because it's cheaper than even traveling here in Japan. It was cheaper to take a plane to Thailand and do all of our regionals with all of our missionaries in the area in that place. Yes, I
Right.
think it was
And so
Thailand.
yeah, I remember there was an event that they were just having for all the MK kids, and so it was just something that we could just kind of have together and bond together while all of our parents did, business work and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so um, it was one of the first times, one of the earliest memories I have of like connecting with other Christians my age, because being on the mission field in Japan, it was different because we were ministering to people our age. We
It
were
was
kind of
pretty lonely to say the least, right?
yeah. So this was a time when I got a chance to actually make my faith my own, and something that was just not uh, assumed of me, or rather, it was something that I had to be. It was something that I chose to be.
That's awesome.
Um, and from there, like it kind of began my journey of trying to seek God and learn about Him on my own terms. Well, not my own terms, but rather for myself.
Right,
And I think it was age 13. I think you baptized me
right.
in the Sea of Japan, which was awesome.
Yeah,
And from there, I think that's kind of when my Christian journey really took off on its own, and I wanted to do more and see more, and um, yeah, and I think it was high school. I got a call to do ministry work,
right.
and that was back in the States. And ever since then, I've kind of held on to that, and still to this day, I hold fast to that call, even when times are hard and
Mm.
and uncertain. So yeah.
Wow. So for the people that are listening, this is a incredible journey of a lifetime. We've seen you in our coming into our house as a little kid. When you were born actually in Fresno, California.
Yeah.
And that's a another story. But born in Fresno at the age of 6 months old, you came to Japan. I remember your passport picture was just a little baby on the passport. I had to hold your head to take the picture. You were tiny, and you came to the mission field. So a lot of the stuff that you went through as an MK, and now we're getting into the MK stuff. You were not really, you didn't apply for that. You
Mhm.
came because mom and dad were missionaries, and so you came alongside. But you applied yourself in many ways to the life of a missionary kid. And by that mean is like we didn't have any other missionary family alongside here with us. We were basically it, and there were other missionaries, but they had their struggles and also their lives and everything else. So basically, when you grew up here and you went to an international school, but how do you think the being a missionary kid help you in your upbringing now and what you're doing, or how was a deterrent to your own life? You can be as honest as possible because we have had incredible conversations already about this. But how do you think that your MK life helped you? I know you're bilingual, so to speak,
Mhm.
because you understand Japanese, and even though you don't speak it fluently, you've always been able to understand it. So how do all those things help you with what you're doing now, including your jobs?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a double-sided coin for sure. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty open book when it comes to everything,
Right.
especially my experiences there. And so I like to try and be as honest as possible in order to um, one, bring to light different things, and also to just be honest with people. I think genuality is important as well. But for me, my journey, like you said earlier, it was pretty lonely growing up, in a lot of different ways, and never finding or having a culture to really call my own was something that, um, it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that I lacked, and I saw the effects of it even earlier on, even coming back here for high school, when a lot of people knew kind of their culture and how they act, and the culture of the US as well. And so every time we would come back, it'd kind of be a big culture shock for me, trying to adapt. And so that was definitely tough. And even now, at 28 years old, even when I've now officially been in the US the same amount of time that I have been in Japan.
Right.
And
That makes it
so
even now, right?
yeah, it's even now. Next year, I'll finally have been in the US a little bit longer, but it's crazy that almost at 30 I finally like hit an even split. But even now,
Hmm.
there have been times like when my wife like will come to me and be like, "Oh, do you know this? Like this is happening." I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And so she's like, "Oh, that's right. Like, there's still things like different nuances that um I didn't understand because of growing up in Japan." And that's not even talking about how yeah, but yeah, honestly, that's kind of the wholeness. But on the other side, my experiences in Japan have helped made me who I am because, uh, mainly because of the worldview that I think I have. I think that's the biggest, um,
Advantage.
yeah, the biggest advantage that I have. And I cherish that, and I thank God for that all the time. Because especially here in the US, and I mean, especially here in Southern California where I live, there's a lot of people that have kind of a closed-minded, or not necessarily closed-minded, but they just are very aware of what's going on in their region,
So it's
and that's
narrow-minded.
narrow-minded. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So I never realized of the advantage that I had, because when something happens, whether it's like uh, political or international or just anything in general, it doesn't even have to be anything specific. I think about the implications of what it looks like from different different cultures,
Right.
not just my own, or the culture of the U.S. I think about the whole picture, the whole world, how this can affect everyone. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that that was something that I did. It just came naturally to me. And I
Right.
think that also helped going to an international school where
Right.
they kind of help promote this international worldview. And so I'm very grateful for that because I can kind of bring in
Perspective.
um, another perspective into the conversation, especially to teenagers in my job here, because what they see right now is they are seeing a lot more of the world, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
with the access of social media and everything, they have access to a lot more of the world, but it is still and will always be within the lens of their own culture and what they see here in the US.
Right.
Now, you remove those lenses, you remove those filters, and what you're left with is the perspective of the entire world. And that was something that I'm able to have. And so I say, okay, so like this is what you guys see right here. This is what the world is experiencing as well. So understand that and see that and understand that God is not limited to just America, right? And God is not only limited just to Japan
Right.
or the UK or anywhere, but God is not only international, he's universal, he's timeless, he's forever,
Amen.
right? And so that idea is something that we have to, regardless of where we come from, we have to help instill that into our young people now, because the world that they are growing up in will forever be more connected to everyone.
Right.
And so if we are going to be more connected to everyone, through social media or whatever means that means, we have to understand the culture of everyone else. We have to understand where they come from. We have to understand that there's this worldview that we need to have. So I think that's a long-winded answer, but I think that's something that's the most important that I hold dear, that I genuinely thank God for, because I wouldn't have been able to have that if I weren't on the mission field, that I wasn't able to visit so many different countries at such a young age as well. And
That's for
so,
sure. Yeah, because you came from 6 months old and you departed here when you were like what, 14 or something like that, where you left Japan.
yeah, yeah, I like to kind of simplify it and basically say, yeah, I came back here when I was about like 14 years old. And
Right.
so,
So
yeah.
this conversation, Stephen, has been very enriching for me and very fluid as well. Where I want to say, can you give us another interview because we're
Yeah.
coming to the point of a half an hour, so this is coming to the end of it. What kind of plans for future plans do you have? Do you think where is God taking you?
It's funny that you asked that because I was, not only myself, but there's a lot of close friends that I have right now that are, it seems like everyone over here is kind of in the middle of a crossroads. Everyone's kind of either planning or expecting the next stage of life for themselves. And so it's made me and Sabs, my wife, a little bit more like, what is the next step? Like, what are we prepared for? Like, what are we looking to do and everything like that. And so um I was reminded by there's a quote that I heard that um we can kind of plan out and prepare for our future, right? But if we plan too much and everything, then
Then you remove,
something that we like weren't expecting or weren't prepared for.
yeah,
So the quote that I heard was something along the lines of blueprints for the future are a fool's errand. And so I try to kind of just say, you know what, whatever God has in store for us, we're good to go, we're ready to go.
that is so cool.
And so we're trying to basically just, hone in whatever we're doing and just continue to serve. And so
Okay. So, and you know that you know this, but I'd like to say it in front of everybody. You have our support, you have our prayers, you have everything. You're backing to and whatever you do, because that's who we are. I like this new opportunity we have to talk like adults. Obviously, it's a new beginning, a new era for us to be able to do that. And we've been going through the book of Deuteronomy. Of
mhm,
all the books in the Bible, I thought, okay, this is what an interesting book of the law. But what you mentioned today about having a worldview that is larger than oneself. It's basically what God was trying to do with the nation of Israel, right? The nation of
mhm,
Israel was trying to be used of God to bless other nations. They kind of didn't take care of that. So God is now using the church where we are, you and I. I'm in Japan, you're in Orange County. But God uses the church to bless the nations around, or the people around, or the community around, whichever the case may be.
mhm.
So, thank you for sharing. I don't know if there was an MK or somebody MK that's maybe listening, or somebody else that's listening today. What would you tell that person about God or about you that you would like them to know?
It's a good question. I think if somebody was listening, I would encourage them to make their relationship with God their own, more than anything. Have a discipleship with the Lord. If they're an MK, their parents have the call, right? Um, and God has inherently placed a call on their life to be there with them, and so learning God's character, learning who God is, and all of that will help them understand the situation that they're in, and can give a little bit more of a purpose for why they're there, why
Yeah,
God has placed them there, and that's
that's
going to
good.
be the foundation for everything
Right.
that they go through, everything, whether they choose to be in ministry themselves or not. Regardless, having a personal relationship with Christ,
Yeah.
just the same thing that we say to uh to unbelievers now.
Yeah.
All
Exactly.
the people is to have a personal relationship with a father who loves them very much,
Right.
and to just get to know them and understand them.
Yeah.
um
I love that.
yeah, that's the
I
biggest
love
thing.
that, Stephen, because in our case, we did have a call, but obviously we didn't assume that you didn't.
Mhm.
We put you to work. We're involved with us, and that created that desire for you to serve God. All right, this is the end of this interview, but I think we're gonna do it again. This has been so good.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you are a young minister can bridge the gap for someone that may be listening and can relate to you more than can relate to me. I'm an old person, you're a young person. That is such a great thing. So I don't know. So we say goodbye to our viewers and we say thank you for watching this the beginning. Uh, God bless you all, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.